Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Hope everyone is fine. Um, so I hope everyone is enjoying the conference, and we are again to yet another session. So we are going to talk about this particular tool, which is ECLS tool. So without any further delay, we will hit to our agenda today. So here is the whole thing today. What is ECLS tool? Why ECLS tool is required? And how ECLS tool works? We are going to cover these 3 points. Then we are going to talk about, obviously, because this is not just an idea but a workable solution. So it is going to have some limitations, and also how I am going to overcome limitation, and what I am thinking next for the tool is what I am going to show in the presentation as well. We will end up with a demo so that we can understand that how the tool is working, and then we can discuss in the end if you have any questions or all those things. So going forward, before we move ahead, let me tell you about myself. So I am Rahul Jain. I am based out of LexisNexis Risk Solution Mumbai, India office. I started with the development from a HPCC point of view, and then I am today managing a team who are all working in the data related stuff, be Python, PySpark, Cloud, or maybe Talent, all those tools, and obviously including the HPCC ECL, the big data platform. So without any further delay, let's move on. So what is ECLS tool? So ECL's tool basically stands for ECL Scanner. The last word S is the scanner thing. By the name, somehow it makes sense that we are trying to read the ECL file or maybe scan the ECL file, trying to find something and trying to fix and test as well certain things. As we will go ahead, we will understand that. For now, this tool is in the beta version, but it is already being used, and I have got certain feedbacks also while this tool is being used in certain areas. This tool typically has 3 sections. You will see in the demo. Also, I will show it in the further slides that. So first section is the scan, or you can say search. What we are basically trying to do is we are going to search a specific folder. Within that folder, there will be .ecl files. We are trying to, this tool basically will go inside the code and try to find out the unwanted dependencies. Now, the first thought which comes to my mind is that when we say unwanted dependencies, we can find it by the help of imports being used. And that's the basic idea of this tool, to remove the dependencies. Now, first step is, remember, not going to do any kind of modification to the code. It is just going to give a report in the outcome and let you know that this is what this tool is trying to tell. While the second step is the fix or clean the unwanted dependencies. And the last is like test everything again, like after the things are being modified. So why actually this ECLS tool came into the thought, why did I even think of it, and all those points. So before I go through this point, let me give a small background. So we know everyone is trying to move towards cloud. Even our big data system HPCC has to move and it has to go on the cloud. A lot of places, one of the starting point is to find out the unwanted dependencies. So assume that there is a folder called career discovery, and it is dependent upon a UT folder. It's dependent upon some third folder as well. Now, the whole point is in the import, a lot of time, because it has been a code from a legacy being written like so many years back, so we have those in the imports. But a lot of time we have not went back, or probably because the code has always grown, then we forgot to remove certain codes which are not getting used. Now, if we think it today, it's hard to go manually find in each and every folder, in each and every file, and then remove them, syntax check it, and again ensure that everything is working fine. So the practical usage of it currently, and where I started, was when we saw that for the cloud migration, we are trying to do it manually in certain areas, like going to the file, having it in the Excel, and then trying to remove it, and then again syntax checking. Then I thought we should not do like that. Probably we can come up with a better approach and can reduce a lot of efforts and time and everything. So that is the practically point where I started with this tool, and that was the problem statement to begin with. Howsoever, when you will look at the tool, you will realize it does certain things more than just doing and removing the imports. So that we will discuss in the demo. But coming back to this slide now, why ECLS tool? First, obviously, what I have told is cleaning the repo. That's what. Secondly, obviously, if we think it, then it was being done manually. But We cannot do it manually if we think it's a big repo and so many files. So obviously that's not a preferred approach. And also point number 3 links to the point number 2, that if someone is going to do it manually, obviously there is not going to be a consistency, a standard accuracy, right? So this tool provides you accuracy as well along with the speed, like manual efforts are gone. That's why. Most importantly, this is very easy to use tool. You will understand when you will see the demo. Very easy to use in the sense it can be even used by someone who doesn't know HPCC ECL also, and he just need is the ECL repo, the Git repo, and just basic things, the access in the ECL watch and all those kind of things. uh, Point number 5, if you see, obviously, because point number 1, 2, and 3 we have talked, so it is obviously those all things manually being done is going to incur a lot of cost. So help of this tool, you are going to save time, efforts, lot of aspect. That's why. It's ease of use. Not a lot of things are there, like you need to configure these things, settings, not too many things are there. The UI is very easy to use, hence it can be used easily. That's what. Last and most important point is, even if you, let's assume, run the tool and after 2 days also you want to go back and find certain things, then the reports are being saved in your local folder, and hence you can always go back and see those reports and analyze it later on your time and as per your wish. Now, coming back to the point number 7, why I have done it that way and how does it work is because this tool is created in C#.net, and because it is created in C#.net, I can like deliver the reports in the local folder of the user. It's a normal software kind of a thing, like a exe file, like any other software you install. Similarly, you can install this as well. There will be icon on the desktop, which we will look in the demo as well. And then once you run the tool, the reports will be generated in your folders. Now, the screenshot which you see at the way bottom, what it basically tells is there are various scenarios which I am trying to depict. Like let's assume you have one folder. Within that, you have one ECL file. Okay. And if you think it to do it manually, remember when I say manually, you mean you need to open the file, you need to search for the import, you need to enter it in the Excel, and then again go back and I mean, you need to do it for all the folders, but for one folder you do, then you have to again remove those import and keep a record of it, syntax check it, and then push the code and do all those aspects, right? So typically I am thinking it's not going to be a easy task doing it manually. It might take around a minute or two. Assume I have taken 2 minutes, and you can say it can take 1 minute also, agreed. But let's assume I will go to the row 2 where you have a humongous, not a humongous, but at least 35 files, a moderate one. Then I'm just simply multiplying the number of files into the number of minutes. So it's going to take you 70 minutes if you do it manually, remember. And if it is a humongous folder, I am directly jumping to the last row, then 1000 files. Assume like a UT folder, you have even more files there. So it is going to take lot of time. I have probably taken a fair minutes here. Assume that someone is not going to sit it. I mean, no one can sit it like in a one flow. Hence, 2000 minutes doesn't make, I mean, it may be even more. And remember all other points, the accuracy to manual efforts and the focus of the developer who is there will not be consistent, right? While if you take the tool into the action, then you can see it's going to take hardly, even if you increase to 2000, then it's not going to take a lot of time. It's going to be in minutes, not in hours. And that's why. Remember, I'm just talking one folder typically, and there can be a lot of folders. And if you think in those lines, it's going to take a lot of time. So this is what made me to come up the thing that we shouldn't do anything manually. We should do automation of it, or maybe come up with some other approach to solve this problem. Coming to the next point, how this ECL tool basically works. So as I told in the first slide as well, that there are 3 stages. So first is a scan, okay, and I'm going to show the demo as well. But the whole reason of showing it here is so that users or who are the audience today can easily relate to this particular tool, and they can easily understand this tool, even if someone is not doing ECL as well, then also. So if you clearly see, then by default, the scan button is being disabled. So the whole point is, until and unless a user doesn't click on that folder icon, which has a magnifying glass on it, then this particular scan folder will not get enabled. Remember, there is an explanation as well. The first step is to hit on the small icon which is having a magnifying glass kind of a thing. And then you have to select the compiler location. And we will see in the demo as well. We basically select the bin path wherever the compiler is installed in your local system. Once you select the correct path, the exclamation mark will go. Basically, if you don't select the correct path, then the tool will not allow you to scan. That's the whole thing. It validates even if the path is being selected is correct path or not. That's what. Then once you hit the scan button, then it is going to search in the Git repo for the unwanted import. Plus, it is going to do certain things more, which will be seen in the demo. Once you do the scan, the next thing is fixing. Remember, a user has full authority that he wants to only scan, not do the fix. So they are two independent uh, sections running. User has his own way if he wants to not do certain things. So like he doesn't want to fix the Git repo. He just wants the report and find the unwanted import. That's it, and go manually and fix it. It's up to him. He can do. Howsoever, tool provides you that feature as well. So for example, what I had done was I had selected one of the folder career discovery service. And then what I did is I am clicking the fix button. What this fix button will do is now, once you hit the fix button, it will go in the Git repo and modify the code in that. That's what. So until the scan is being run, there is no modification to the Git repo. Once you hit the fix button, that's where your Git repo gets modified and it cleans out the unwanted import. We will look everything in the demo, so it will be very easy. But for now, you can relate to all this. When we will see the demo, it will be easy for you to understand. Last section is the test section. What we are doing here basically is we are testing the files which have been modified. Remember, we are not testing all the files within that folder. We are only testing the files for which the import has been removed or they are being modified by the tool. The whole reason of doing that is we want to ensure that after the import is being removed, is the particular thing or the particular files, all ECL files are working fine or not. That's what. So if you see all the files, they can be seen here as well. Also, as I told, there will be a consolidated report being in your local folder as well. So that helps user to even go back and look at it later as well. So I hope this is somewhat clear. You got to know by now what is ECLS tool. Why did even I think of the ECLS tool? Why did it come into the picture and how ECLS tool works? Okay. Now, coming back to the point, yes, I created something. It took time. I got a lot of help from other teams. I would like to thank like Srividya from Mark Chambers team. They use this tool, so which helped me to improvise with the time. I got certain feedbacks from the architects as well, some seniors as well, that what else we can do or what we can do. But nothing is perfect, nothing, but we need to reach towards the perfection is the point. Howsoever, this tool has certain limitations, which I am listing out here. And obviously, I want to go ahead with this tool. So if you look in the right, then what I'm planning next has been put up here. So what are the limitations? Unfortunately, I'm not able to handle the macros. And there is a reason behind it, because when I'm trying to scan, I'm trying to scan the file and I'm trying to look at the imports which are present within that file. Unfortunately, if you think the code, the way we have written is that we might import a specific file, uh, and we try to use that particular thing in a macro. So assume there is an import some file called public records, okay, and within that has been used in like a macro. Let's assume macro underscore mac underscore like PR, something like this, but it is not used in the original file where it has been there imported. Now, if I remove that, then the macro will start failing. And that's one of the drawback of this tool, or maybe a limitation as of date today. Also, I'm not able to handle certain things, which I don't think it's a limitation of the tool, but the tool will never handle also those situations. Like I cannot handle import star, import dollar, and even that is not a good coding practice in certain times. Maybe it been a good in a training environment, but I don't know why would we need really import star or import dollar in certain cases. Some of the places where we have salt or the cal code, wherein we have cal 20 dot a dot b dot c, and what happens is we are trying to use at the below as a folder, rather than using the C, which was, remember, cal a dot b dot c in the end. So ideally the user should have used C. but he is not using that. So I'm not able to handle those kind of situations as well. So they are obviously the limitations today, and I look forward to fix some bit of it, while some of them I'm not preferring to fix it as well. uh, as I told, I got to this tool being shown to some of the architects as well and some of the team members as well. So I got some feedback as well, and I also know there are certain areas which where I can improve this tool. For example, I am only testing and that is only a syntax check, and the one of the feedback was, can I also have a compile stage? So that is another stage or a section I am going to add. If you remember, there are three sections: scan, fix, and test, which is a syntax test basically. So I am going to add a compile stage as well in the next version of the tool. That is going to help certain services like assume Roxy services to ensure if I modify the code, then is the service still up and running or not. That's what. Secondly, I am going to add a admin control as well. Currently there is just whole one user there, he can drive everything, but I'm going to add an admin control as well, who can even access multiple folders. So there initially I had like multiple folders being allowed, but then one of the feedback came is we shouldn't do that. Let's not have like 6 folder being modified at one go. We should have only one selection at a time. Also, there is an option I am thinking in long run to delete the files. Well, because we think that certain files are not probably should be there in a folder, but then few of the feedback wise I felt that I shouldn't delete the file. That was one of the feedback I got. So I'm restricting that and I'm not providing that user the control to delete the files. But I am thinking in long run, there should be an admin control who can even delete the file as well. Obviously, UI is one of the factor I want to enhance. There are few suggestions as well, like can we replace certain kind of imports, like instead of using custom folders, like in UT or maybe in underscore control, some of the places we have like certain things and we are having them deprecated in the nature, but even today some of them are not being replaced. So one of the feedback was that can we replace them even with a standard library, so that user has to not go through the whole repo and then find it where are those deprecated one and then replace. I mean, it's going to take a lot of time, again coming back to the manual effort. So that is the whole thing I am thinking for next year. Plus there are some minor things like providing the help, providing more information about the tool on the UI itself. And most importantly, whosoever are listening today, the beautiful audience there, we want to get the suggestion from you, we want to improvise, we can do it better together. That's the whole thing of the presentation today. That's what. Okay, now going forward, we will go for the demo without any further delay. We talked about the tool, did everything, and we will go for the demo now. If you want to reach out to me, you have an email ID at the below. Remember, there is rahul.jain.2. So you can reach me out on that email. Also, you can reach me out on Teams. Let's go for demo. Okay, so as you can see, I am on my desktop. You can see this particular icon which says ECL Scanner. As I told, it's like a normal software.exe file. You just install like any other software and it will be visible on your desktop. I will go ahead and hit the icon and you can see it's in the beta version. So let it load. Okay, now you can relate this tool easily with the presentation what we had. The first stage is the scan stage. Again, I will tell this button is being disabled. You see here there is an explanation mark, which basically because we are not yet selected any ECL bin path. Also, if you see, then there is already this folder here, which we need to actually select the path from here. So I will go ahead and select the location where the ECL compiler is being installed. What I will do is I will select the invalid path to begin with. And if you see, still this button is disabled and we still have the information that it's a ECL bin path is invalid. So what I will do now is I will select the correct path. Just wanted to show that, I mean, the tool is taking care if you are not having a valid path. That's what. Once I select the correct path, the explanation mark is gone. And also if you see the scan button is enabled. Now, once I click the scan button, then we can select the Git repo path. Before that, Meanwhile, let me select the bin path, and then I will also let you know like what we are basically trying to do here. So I will go here, select my repo, and in that I will select, let's assume, build facts. Okay. So I have selected, let the tool run the thing. Meanwhile, let me tell you what is happening at the background. So build facts basically is a folder. It has .ecl file. Total number of the files in that particular folder are 42. If you see, tool is trying to do certain things which I will talk about, but you can see the pace it is going. I mean, I told that one folder, let's assume there are 35 file. It's going to take, I told for one file, it will take like less than 1 minute, and I took like more minutes for even 35 files. But if you see, it is able to go very rapidly for even 42 files. So let this thing completed. And once it gets completed, you will get a pop-up. So I think we are very close now. And yes, here you go. If you see, there is, and as I told, if you remember in the PPT, that there is a consolidated file being saved as well. So it's not that the tool has run certain thing and it generates you the report as well. The report is at this location. So I will just click OK, but you can remember that it's in the C drive and at this particular location. So if you see, the next button is being enabled. Before we go ahead and use the next button, I mean, you are not able to see the next button, but I can select this and then the button will come up. It is enabled. But before I hit, let's do some things. So I will show you certain thing. I was in the same repo. If you think it's the build facts, if you see, there are 42 files, and that's what actually I had scanned there. Remember, and this is the most important point, I have not done anything, and even the tool has not touched any of this so far. All the files are green. No modifications are there in any of this file. Okay. Also, I will go to a location here wherein I am going to tell you that what all things has happened so far. So if you see just now, 2408 and this particular time, if you see, we have a build facts, that particular folder being created, and the tool generates 3 file now. So that's the whole thing. When we click on the scan button, then there are 3 files being generated. Let's understand what these 3 files are. First, it tells about the 42 files, that how many lines of the code is there. Now someone would question, why do we really need it? There are 2 reasons. A, there are certain cases wherein we have just 1 line of code, which is totally agreed. I mean, it's not wrong, it can be there and it is required. But there are certain cases wherein we just have a ECL file with no line of the code. So why do we even have that? We can even delete those files. That's point number 1. Another angle to this is, there can be certain files which are humongous in the size, like 5,000 lines of code or maybe 4,000 lines of the code. So that is a candidate to be broken down, so that you have a better code modularizing. Now try to understand, if you had to do it manually, how much time it would have taken. And also it generates the report you don't want to do, that's okay, but you at least know your code. You can understand your code by looking at this. That's point number 1, but that's just one of the feature, small one. Secondly, it generates the syntax check report for all the files. And I will come back to the point that why did I even have a syntax check report. Now, if you see, all of them got passed, all are working fine. There is no problem with any of those files. And I have not touched the files, remember, as I told. So they are basically the code what is in the repo just now. The third thing which is being generated just now is the unwanted imports. So we will look into this, but basically what it tells is, let's assume I will take this one. Let's assume the second last. If you think there is import, so what it is saying is that this particular file in the build facts location, remember this is what we selected, right? In this particular import is there, but this import is not getting used. Hence, this import can be removed. That's what basically the tool is trying to say. Similarly, you have some other files. Most important thing to remember is there are 42 files. Not all of them have unwanted import. There are specific files, and tool is letting you know those files only where the unwanted import was there. That's what. Similarly, it has given the same information for other places as well. Okay. So before I go ahead and hit the test button, sorry, the fix button now, you should remember that the Git repo again, I can show once more so that everyone is sure that here, if you see, it's all green. Okay, now I will hit the button. The moment I hit the button, you see, please check your Git repo. The unwanted imports are being removed. Okay, we will come back to this test thing which has been enabled just now. But if you see here, the files are being modified. Now let's look at back to the same send email. If you remember, I just showed just now that the unwanted import was there. I will do a diff here. Now, if you remember, we had a version control, and let's be sure whether really the tool is doing correct or not. So if you see, version control is not getting used. Okay. Now, what is the important time or important things to notice here is it has also removed the import. So it's not that it's just removing the version control, because if you would have done that, then your code would have started failing, just written import and nothing ahead. Well, syntax check doesn't work, right? And there is another catch to it in the test. You will come to know from there as well. If even I, as a developer, has done something wrong with the coding and something being missed out, then the important thing to note is test will still catch it. We will come to that because we are yet to hit on the test button in the tool, remember. But on the fix button, git repo got modified. It has removed the unwanted import, right? And you can see even the whole line of the import has been removed. I will just show one more maybe so that let's take this one maybe randomly, and let's see what is being modified here. So if you see, this is again interesting. You had this particular two imports not getting used. Control was not getting used. Let's again be sure. Let's try std maybe. So if I click on std and dot, there was nothing like that. So what it basically means is these imports were lying there, they were not getting used, and hence they can be removed easily. Now let the tool maybe reply that whether I have done it correct or not. But for now, I hope by looking at the code comparison, you realize that the code has been modified, unwanted imports has been removed. And let's see that if the correct imports are still there or not. That is another thing, right? So Roxy key build, if you see, it is getting used and it is still there. Underscore control, not getting used. Leap services, it's not getting used, right? So I will close this and come back to the tool. So we are yet to hit the test button. And remember, here you have a count of 9. Initially you had 42, but why here 9? Because you didn't modify import for all of them, right? That's why. So now let's hit the test button. Now what happens during this test button meanwhile it runs? It seems it will finish off quickly, by the way. And it has actually, and it also generates one more report. So if you see, the user can see here itself that all the files where the imports has been modified, they are still syntax checking. That's what I was trying to say, that even if I miss as a developer, let the tool decide whether the files are working or not. They are still working as they were working before or not. And in addition to this, you remember there were 3 reports here which were generated, and now there is one additional report which has been generated, which is build facts full syntax check report. Let's go there. Even the same information what we saw on the tool is here as well. What it basically proves is when we started the tool, we did the scanning, these particular files for syntax checking, we modified, we removed the import, we did everything, and after that also this tool is working fine, and these files are also working fine. Hence, if you think this tool has automatically removed the imports for you, remember it has removed the dependencies for you, and that too automated way. Now, I hope you can realize all the things we discussed in the PPT. I will do one more thing. I will take one more scenario here so that you can understand that what is the another usage of this. Okay, my bad, I should not select the compiler. Let me go and select the location where the ECL repo is there. So scan button, we will go to the same location where I have the code. The code is here within the insurance Thor. Let's select something else, maybe. Let's take this claim discovery, maybe property. Okay. So let's see. We have here 12 files, and you can see that I mean, you can see how much fast it is. It is able to do it very quickly, right? So the 12 files are being completed. Now let's look again here. So if you see, just to be sure, I will show the date time modified. It's the same which we can see at my window panel at the below, and you have a folder being created. Now let's see the interesting thing here. Now that's the key point here. One thing was import, and remember during the scan time, I'm not modifying the code. For everyone to be sure, I will do once again, go back here. I will go to the folder and let's go to the same location, which was uh, what was the name? I think it was claim discovery underscore property. It is all green. None of the files are being modified. All looks good. Remember, I have not modified the code, but what tool is basically trying to say is, you see BWR underscore base, it's still not syntax checking. This particular thing, not syntax checking. I have not modified the code, but what I'm trying to say is it's not syntax checking even from before. And in addition to that, it lets you know why it is not syntax checking. So important thing is you are getting all the information consolidated at one place. Now I am not telling whether we should delete or not, but I am going to add an admin screen in long run, wherein someone who is an admin, he logins by that credentials, he can go ahead and delete as well if it is required. The point to note here is I am not modifying anything. Still, by default, this code itself is not syntax checking, and they are the candidates. Either they should be now be corrected so that they get syntax checked, or they should be removed or deleted from the repository so that our repository becomes lighter and easy to use. That's the whole thing. Now, same process, we will go ahead again. We will select the claim discovery property. Remember, the old selection has gone away because you already fixed and tested it. So they all go away. Also, until unless I didn't select it in the drop down, the fix was not enabled. And you remember, then it's green. Again, I will show here. And hence I will click on the fix button. And there was only one file, by the way, but the whole purpose of showing you this scenario was that in initial stage, the syntax check was not working. And let's look at really it's the correct import and all those things has been modified or not. Very interesting. If you see, none of them is getting used. Let's be sure. This is not getting used. Underscore control. Let me check whether it's getting used. No, this is not getting used. Clue auto. Is it getting used? No. So if you think literally none of the imports were useful and we removed the whole import, and again, let the tool decide and let's be sure whether the thing is working fine or not. Within a blink of second, we see that, I mean, I put 1 minute, remember in the PPT, it's hardly a second, I think fraction of second, and it is let you know that this particular file has passed. And obviously, as I told in the first shot as well, that it is getting passed. Obviously, there are a lot of files which are not getting passed and it is being here. So I am not going into the detail of like the lines of code and all those, because this is just a additional or a bonus point from this tool. So what we are ending toward, you have seen the presentation, you have also seen the demo. Remember, the theme of this year is we need to have a difference. So what I'm basically trying to say is, don't get me wrong, but a lot of time we see Java and a lot of other languages which have inbuilt system wherein they can find a lot of things for the code review purpose and all those things. But unfortunately for ECL, we need to have some kind of tools. And what I'm basically trying to say is we need to start with certain things. I'm not saying whether this idea is the correct idea. But this is an idea, a workable idea. You have already seen. We can make it better. I need surely feedback from you, support from all the audience. You can share your feedback. Let me know. Point number one, what I need from all of you is whether this idea is a worth idea to spend the efforts or not, so that I and my team or whosoever are helping with this tool know, should we go ahead with this tool or not from an idea point of view. Second is, if the idea makes sense, then is the approach correct? Some of them might be thinking that, oh, we can have a different way to do this. I just came up with the thought of using C#.NET, but it can be a Python or it can be any other languages. It might not be UI, it can be a command prompt, it can be anything. I got literally some suggestions as well for that, by the way. The point to put is we have to work it together to make a difference is the whole point. That's it from my end. Thank you, everyone. Let me know if you need any help or any point, any feedback. I am open for it. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.